Hey guys, Greg at Best Choice Trailers. Today we just got some ITI Cargo, the new XE series. This is to be their newer, I'll call it economy line. They're more entry level, more price point trailers. And I'll tell you what, I'm pretty impressed. I want to take you for a walk around these and show you why I definitely think they're worth your consideration for sure if you're not looking to spend big money. And typically this trailer right here, a 5x8, would be one of the trailers that guys aren't buying our aluminum trailers or maybe our short track premium steel. They're going to be a little more budget conscious, typically not a commercial user. So let's take a look around them. And I guess I would add there's a few more there in the line. So they do make different sizes. That's a 6x12. I think in that line there's a 712 tandem and a 716 tandem. So this is pretty much the shortest you're going to go is a 5x8. So first thing I noticed is short track, or I should say ITI Cargo, they're all part of the Nove family. They tend to do a little bit longer tongue and a little bit shorter V-nose. And some might say, why would you do that? Why wouldn't I want more V-nose space? And the quick answer would be, it's great until you go to maneuver it, until you get into your tighter spots and you want to jackknife and turn and whatnot. So longer tongue definitely makes it more maneuverable, that you don't got to worry about jackknifing the trailer. Pulling forward, not a problem. So whenever you go to back up, that you're going to see the issue. And speaking of the tongue, let me see if I can zoom in here. They're using a truck bed liner on this, which is so much nicer in my opinion than the frame paint that you often get from a lot of manufacturers. Typically, a lot of manufacturers, there's little prep on that tongue, and just, I don't know, the paint's not my favorite. This truck bed liner is definitely a lot nicer. Zinc coated jack instead of a painted jack, little detail. Like pretty much most everything in the industry, single axle is going to be a 4 flat. The only time you'd see a 7 is if it got brakes. Now that said, if you've got a tow vehicle with a 7-pin plug, we've got 4 to 7 adapters. They're a $5, $6, $7, $8 part that can adapt that to your 7-pin. This does have a sandfoot jack. A lot of times you won't get that at this price point. Just keeps you from sinking down into stones or sand or dirt or whatever you're parking on. So it does have the V-nose. One little thing I see that actually I don't believe the next model up from this head is trimmed out stone guard. It's a little detail, but it just picture frames it, makes it look a little bit nicer. Black rims on this instead of the silver or white, I just think is more visually appealing. Now, one of the differences between the XE and the SE, which is the next model up, this is a screwed exterior. The SE would be a semi-screwless. And what that means, on an 8-foot trailer, you've got 2 4-foot panels. You've got a bead of screws here. On the next model up, you would not. Now, that said, for the money difference between this model and that model, I don't see where the next model up makes sense. I think this is the model that I'd want to be in for a 5x8 trailer. There's a lot of savings, and I just don't see that bead of screws really making that big a difference to me if I'm a buyer of this trailer. The skin on this is an 030 skin. Sometimes at price points you're going to see an 024. That would be in reference to the thickness. So a 24 versus a 30, you're talking 20% difference of thickness in the aluminum. This is just going to lay flatter, thicker the aluminum. On the top driver's side, you're going to see the intake for a side flow-through vent. So historically, some manufacturers used roof vents on the top of the roof. They're nice, but you do get UV rays. Nice not to have a hole at the top of the roof. This basically would be a cross ventilation vent, intake front, top, driver's side opposite the exhaust, so you're getting cleaner air. Then it's ventilating out the rear bottom passenger side. So you're going to have one on this side, one on the other side. You've got a bullet LED light. Nice little detail, a little bit cleaner look. Unit like this is going to weigh in at about 850 pounds. So you're going to have on a 2990 GVW, touch over 3,000 pounds of legal payload. Now that's actually not going to count your vehicle side tongue weight as well, but honestly most people in this are never going to get anywhere near that 2,000 plus pounds of weight. I do mention it is a 2990 GVW, which means this has a full size axle. It also has should be 15-inch rubber on these. Yeah, 15-inch rubber. It's going to be a load range C. It's going to be a 6-ply, 50-pound air in those. Sometimes on 5/8 on your more economical trailers, you're going to get a 2K axle, which is going to have less suspension, less axle tube, and then you're going to get either a 12 or a 13-inch tire. That's important because if you've got 20s on your vehicle and you're cruising at 80, you do the math. If you've got a little 12, 13-inch tire on the 2K axles, it's humming at probably 150 mile an hour better. Ramp door is standard on these. You can get a barn door. It seems like most of the industry, probably 90-95% on bigger sizes wants a ramp. This size, we do start to see a little bit more demand for barns, but most people still want a ramp. On the ramp, you've got the full width, what I call full width hinges. They're about 8-9 inches wide instead of sometimes on your cheaper ones, you'll get a half hinge. It's probably 4-inch. Grease zerd on them for serviceability. Just like the Stone Guard, it's picture framed out on the rear door. A lot of times your economy manufacturers are going to let that trim off, and it's just, half prepped steel that's going to rust eventually. So kind of nice that that's trimmed out. Truck bed liner is on the rear sill as well, not just the tongue. Aluminum grab handle. Typically at anything I would call an entry price point trailer, you're not going to see aluminum here. It's going to be plastic. Thin strip LED lights, a little bit nicer than some of the other ones we see. Center marker light, and then your stop turn tails. Bumpers on the corners of the door to protect the door. Here's another little detail. Typically at any sort of price point, I'm not going to see security bar locks. It's just going to be a center draw bar. This has two, and what that does, just keeps somebody from making a tamper resistant door, makes it harder for somebody to get into your stuff. This also is currently, and who knows, they may change this, but currently this is a Elkhart, Indiana Flexco door latch, and it sounds silly, but their stuff just seems to fit a lot better than the Chinese imports. The import stuff is only about half as tall, which may be part of the issue. These are definitely a much taller door latch assembly. Another little detail, brag on ITI or Nove company. Their doors just kind of, I'll say, glide. Some manufacturers' doors, I'll say, aren't adjusted very well. They actually count their adjustments on the doors and have them sprung to the right tension. Inside, it's pretty clean. There's no Lawan strips. They use a H mold, just a much cleaner. There's nothing to come off. If you're not familiar with the Lawan strips I'm talking about, that used to be the industry standard where you'd have a 4-inch piece of Lawan strip and you'd get staples that sometimes be blown through the batten strip. That H molding you see there is actually screwed into the wall. Dome light, and then you've got a residential style wall switch instead of just a switch on the light. Again, a little more user friendly. You can just stick your hand inside the trailer to turn the switch on instead of having to actually climb inside. These units, actually, I haven't measured yet, but historically ITI has been 5'6" on the inside height. Sometimes you'll see 5 foot height, so have to get a tape measure on one of these. But again, historically they've been 5'6" inside. That's going to net you about 5'1", somewhere between 5 foot, 5'1" on your height through the door. So if you're trying to get maybe a motorcycle or whatnot, typically, I think you'll find most non-windshield bikes shouldn't have any problem getting in. Corner posts on these are a little bit thinner than before. A lot of manufacturers are thinning the rear corner posts and changing the style or structure there to accommodate a wider load entry point. So sometimes you get a 4 or 5 inch. These look like a 3-inch on your corner. What that's going to allow you on a lot of folks, they're used to a utility trailer and they'll say, hey, I got a 5 foot, wide opening. Well, unfortunately on an enclosed trailer, you don't. 5 foot's the outside of the box to outside of the box. With your, say, 3-inch corner post and maybe 2-inch of spring cable, you lose 5 inches either side. You're going to be about 4 foot 2 inches, give or take, on the width between the cable. And again, should be around 5 foot on the height if that matters to you. Now, just to be clear, the 5x8 measurement on this would be square box. That doesn't count the V-nose. The V-nose on this, you can't see very well, but you're going to get probably a foot, give or take, on the V. Sometimes at price points we see 5/8 on the floor. This is still going to be a 3/4, and then on the walls this is also going to be a 3/8. Inside the trailer, You've got tube stud on the roof bows instead of hat posts or Z posts. And if you look above the bow, you'll see a foam gasket tape. And then you've also got a Luan liner going down the center. It's going to be a 24-inch wide. A lot of times price points aren't going to have that gasket tape. This also has mill finish around the top, finishing it out. Typically your wiring for your dome lights and all that's going to run behind that mill finish. That'd be the inside of your side flow-through vent on the front driver's side. This also has a one-piece aluminum roof. On your more entry-level stuff, oftentimes you're going to see a Galvalume on the roof. Gotta be a little bit careful getting in a 5x8 when you're unhitched. These trailers only weigh about 850 pounds empty. Typically empty tongue weight is maybe 10%, so maybe 85 pounds. So if a adult walks up the ramp door, good chance you're gonna tip that back end. So again, on these you're always going to want to be hitched up anytime you're going in or out or loading or whatnot. Even if it's just you and it's not a motorcycle or whatnot, I would generally always be hitched up or get a wood block or something to prop the back end of the trailer. This is available in different colors. Behind it, you'll see the black, and there's a white one back there. We also do some charcoal, and there are some different options. They're a little bit limited on this model, but there's still a handful of options if you need different height or maybe a different color, etc. D-rings inside, whatever you need. We can do some of that here, or manufacturer also on an order can do some of that. If you have any questions on this trailer or any of your others, feel free to give us a ring, 717-220-4220, or you can visit us on the web at bestchoicetrailers.com.